In today's data releases, Chinese inflation has come out at a muted 2.7% from a year earlier, while retail sales hit 13.2%. On the phone with me now to discuss this data, as well as China's plans to relax its one-child policy, is Devonshire-Ellis of Dezan Shira and Associates. Chris, we've spoken previously of the current trend for market overreaction to Chinese data. Can we expect that today? For example, today's inflation data has already sparked calls for a rate cut.
Yes, I think there always are overreactions when economists release China data. I think the important thing to remember is that these are mean average figures, national figures, and China is a huge country. So if we were to compare, for example, the economies of New York State with Montana, they would be completely different, and California would be different from New Mexico. The same is also true of China. So the economies of Shanghai and the economies of Xinjiang province will be completely different. So I always take these national mean average figures with a pinch of salt, and I wouldn't get too carried away by them.
Taking a look then at external factors, the Bank of Japan met with market expectation this week, opting to hold interest rates on Thursday as Abenomics continues to hit targets. Historically, Japan and China have tussled for the number 2 and 3 spots in the global economic rankings. How close are we to Japan leapfrogging China to reclaim its number 2 title? And what role could that play in China's slowdown recovery process, do you think?
I'm not sure I could really comment on that. I can't see Japan, to be honest, leapfrogging China. The Chinese economy is just so vast compared to the Japanese economy in terms of numbers of consumers that I really don't think that comparisons between Japan and China make any real sense. They're driven by different fundamentals. The market sizes are completely different in terms of consumer populations, and I think the comparisons between the two are largely irrelevant, to be honest. So I think I'll sit on the fence there and say that I don't think the comparisons between the two are particularly of interest.
Hong Kong surprised in HSBC's first-year half results this week, outperforming in net profit. What differentiates Hong Kong from the mainland economy, which saw a decline?
Well, they are significantly different. The mainland for the last 20 years has been a manufacturing-driven economy, and although that is changing now to a consumer-driven economy, that transition is still in the process of taking place. Hong Kong, over the last 20 years, has always been a service-based economy. Manufacturing in Hong Kong left for mainland China over 30 years ago. So what we're seeing is Hong Kong's service economy providing the territory there with consistent good performances, whereas mainland China, being still to some extent export manufacturing driven, has lagged behind a bit as a result of global consumers not buying as much product. So they are fundamentally different. But nonetheless, I think the sign that the services industry in Hong Kong, which is also based upon transshipment, the repackaging and transshipments of goods originally coming from mainland China, is a good sign, and I would expect to see that the Chinese economic figures will probably follow suit in terms of an improvement on the back of the good performance that Hong Kong has just produced.
And lastly, Chris, much debate has also been sparked by the indication that China could ease its one-child policy by year end. While the relaxation of this ruling could alleviate demographic concerns, what are the economic implications?
Well, actually, I would disagree with that. I don't think that the relaxation of one-child policy will impact upon the demographics of China anytime soon. We have to remember that the one-child policy in any event is not a national phenomena. It only applies to Han Chinese in urban areas. It's not a national issue. So I think that the significance of this, which is partly emotive, is perhaps less than the media would have us believe. Even if there is an uptick in the number of births in China, they're not going to come into the workforce for 20, 25 years. So I don't see that, with perhaps the exception of a small tick up in consumer goods for infants in cities, that the relaxation of the one-child policy will have any major impact in China at all. I think that the emotive issue over people being allowed to have more than one child is perhaps more significant than the actual demographic and economic issues that go with it. So my views on that are that even if the relaxation happens, there's unlikely to be any real change in the performance of China per se.
Many thanks, Chris. It may be the last day of the trading week, but we've still got plenty more exclusive interviews for you. For now, though, it's goodbye from me.